Yo, what's up guys? So for this tutorial we're using one of Jack Spencer Cross's images, and you guys can go get your hands on these images over at my store. I'll put them up for you guys so you can follow along in the editing. So we're going to be trying to get these rich red and orange tones, plenty of contrast, and those teals as well, those real nice teal and red tones. So if you guys want to see a whole lot of other orange and teal edits, give them a follow down in the description, and let's get into Lightroom. So the main point to this image is going to be getting those real rich red tones, and what I find is there's almost a blue and a red in the shadows at the same time. Those blacks are true black, and then there's some blues in the shadows, and then just outside those shadows there's reds. So it's quite hard to achieve, and what I've found is the only way to do that is with curves. I've sort of found a way to do it, but that's going to be the main focus point, is getting those nice reds and blues in the shadows at the same time, giving off these really nice tones. So let's get into it, and first thing I'll do, profile corrections. Let's head up, do some basic adjustments, highlights, bit of whites. We'll just do in a vignette. And I'll just brighten the center of the image. I've already done all the filters. Okay, so we'll move on to the curves. Okay, so that's the curves done. I'll just bump up the blacks a lot because we've done a pretty harsh tone curve, and you need a harsh tone curve to get these colors to show. So I'm going to bring that up quite a bit so you can see a lot more of that detail. And so I'll try to explain what I did with the curves. So a harsh S curve, especially in the shadows, and then for the blues, I brought them up a bit in the blacks and in the shadows there, because I found that works a bit better than split toning in this style, and that way I can keep the blues in the shadows, and then I'm gonna further on edit the image to have some reds in there as well. So I might come back and try to explain this as I go with a bit more, but yeah, harsh S curve in the shadows, and then yeah, I left a bit of blue in there so that we can get the blue, the reds, all that in the shadows there. Right. HSL real quick. So we want those nice reds. So the yellows are going to shift a long way towards orange. And you can already see we're starting to get those nice tones, those nice reds in the shadowy areas. So if we turned off our curves, you can see it's just completely gone. So it's the curves that's mainly doing that. And then we'll play around the oranges. So we look a little orange, we want a touch more of a red. We'll just come down to saturation. And then up here, we want reds to maybe stay a bit more on the red side. So we'll shift them slightly towards purple. Okay. Greens, there's no greens in this, there's a few, but we'll bring them down. I'll leave aquas up a bit, but bring blues down. I feel like aquas is sort of the brighter blues, and then the deep blues I bring down. Purples, trying to get this style. A lot of purples sometimes creep in because the reds are quite close to purple sometimes. So don't want too much of that. And then luminance, we want a touch of brightness to our yellows. This was shot on a real cloudy day, so we've got some real nice soft light, but that light is also kind of flat. So it can make the image look a little boring. So just slightly deepen the reds. Then not many greens in this, but we'll up the luminance. And a lot of people will be thinking, surely you would move the green way up here to warm it up. But for Sam Kolder, for example, some shots, the greens are very, very orange or very, very yellow. The greens are very, very yellow. And then some shots, they're not. And what happens is very, very often in camera, the greens will get registered as a yellow. And that's probably why you'll find just some shots, the greens are just really warm. Sometimes the greens are not warm at all. Or you get a good mix in the same shot. You got some trees that look really orange, and then some greens still look natural. So that's how you do that. You move the yellows real far, leave the greens there, and they're gonna get kind of warm because a lot of those greens will be registered as yellows in the image. It'd be better if I had an image with some greens in it to explain. Bring the blues up a bit. Chuck quite a bit of green in there. And let's go to sharpening. Make the big lines a bit sharper. Just go back right up the top here. We want whites to be a bit brighter. You can see how it's just kind of dark. It's going to brighten things up. go to brushes, and I've already gone about brushing them, so I'll just show you. So I grab this one. This is where it's affecting, and I just want to bring up the shadows because I want to bring out just a little more detail because I don't want it to be completely black. So show you, bringing up a few shadows, and it could look a little strange and unnatural, so I'm just going to bring up the contrast as well. I think that helps. And then grab this one, sort of doing the same thing. Just going to bring up the shadows for this one. Then on the face, I just want to brighten his face. But exposure brightens everything, and it's also brightening the whites and highlights, for example. And I mainly want to brighten the shadows. So to keep the highlights and the whites looking nice and soft, I'm going to drop the highlights because you want that nice soft light on your image, especially on the face. And I'll drop the whites. If I just grab this one, I want to brighten just around the chin there. And if I grab this one, I just want to smoothen some areas of the skin, so I've just selected forehead, cheeks, neck, bit of the arm. What I'm going to do is just drop the clarity, smooth it out a bit. Okay, so like I said before, this was taken on a really cloudy day, so nice soft light, but the light also looked kind of plain. So I'm just going to grab this big filter here and up the exposure a bit, and the highlights. And then on the face here, just going to sharpen the image. And that's about it. Before and after. So remember, the key to this is having those pretty dark blacks that are black with maybe a hint of blue in there, and then it nicely rolls into reds in the shadows as well. All done with the curves really is how you achieve that look. And then the last thing for this image that I want to do is just bring up the vibrance. That's quite an important step to get those nice mid-tones really popping. And I'm just going to make sure these blues are a bit of a teal, so I'm going to shift them in this direction. And then the aquas a little this way. And you'll probably see that play out in the next image we do, because I'm going to save this one as a preset. But as you can see, the key to this one was getting those dark blacks that are true black, and maybe a bit of blue in there. And then there's also reds in the shadows as well. And it was all done by the curves. The curves played a really big part in this one. So that's just the curves on and off there. So I'm going to save this one as a preset. Orange and teal, red, deep might be cut off from the recording, but you want everything. You don't want filters. And create. So I've got another image we're going to try and use that preset on. Okay, so here's the other image we're going to use that preset on. Let's apply it here, and as you can see, we get those nice rich colors, but we're just way too warm. So I'm going to bring down the warmth. Okay, so we've got some really harsh blacks, so I'm going to lift them slightly. I'm going to lift them in the curves as well. We just got a bit too much contrast in there because this light had much more contrast than this light over here. This light was very soft. This light is in more direct sunlight. It's a bit harsher, has more contrast, so we'll take some more contrast out. Okay, coming down to HSL. So a few things here. We could do it with the curves, but I'll do it with HSL and some other things. The skin tones, there's a bit of purples creeping in. We want to keep them kind of red. Going to try shifting the reds a bit over towards the oranges a bit more. Try the oranges a little towards the reds. The yellows are looking pretty orange back there, pull them back a touch. Most things can stay the same. Drop those reds a bit. I'll put them there. Oranges. Drop those yellows. Blues. I think it's just those blues are just a little too harsh. Same with aquas. Onto luminance. Drop the oranges down a bit. Everything else can pretty much stay there. And if we come down, so what I see in this, I could correct it with the curves, but to keep things kind of simple, I see a few too many purples in the image still. So in the shadows especially. So like down here, you could try fixing that with making the blues more teal or aquas a little bit. But I find if you come right down here, it's pretty easy if you just shift green into the shadows. So you can see you lose a lot of purple in the shadows if you put green in the shadows. But you just want to be aware that you will probably lose the reds in your skin tones. But I'll put it about there, and I'm pretty happy with those skin tones there. So you could also do that in the curves. just put more green into the shadows with the curves, but just leave the curves how they are. They're pretty good. So there's that one, before and after. Got those nice, rich, reddish orange skin tones, especially in the shadows of those skin tones, and then those nice teal blues throughout the rest of the image. And yeah, you can save this one as a preset as well. So orange and teal 2, deep reds, cold, so you'd use this when you want a slightly cooler shot, or you just want to cool it down a bit. I think it'll work in those sort of environments. So yeah, that's 2 shots there, and I think that's about it, guys. It's before and after. Again, the trick is really in the curves. They're pretty tricky to get your head around, but that's how you get those really rich colors, especially in the shadows and skin tones. You need to be working with those. I might be putting up these images for you guys to download so you can have a go yourself. These are high quality, sharp images with a Canon 1DX Mark II, and I think these both were probably taken with the Sigma 35mm. So if you guys want high quality images to have a go editing with, check out my store. They might be up there. And yeah, go check out my store. There's just tons of value over there, guys. Go check it out. Really happy with the feedback so far. Plenty more coming. So leave a comment, leave a like, guys. Really helps me out if you do that. And yeah, comment who you guys want to see, so then I can go reach out to them on Instagram. They can send in a photo and I can do a tutorial on them. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Catch ya in the next one. Cheers.